Even though CW's Supergirl has just come to an end, there are surely things even some hardcore fans might not have realized about the show. These things come from behind the scenes of the show and have been happening since the early days of the show before it was a part of the CW's Arrowverse. So what secrets are there? Well, stay tuned because today we're discussing Supergirl behind the scenes secrets fans never knew about. First up, the casting of Supergirl. Melissa Benoist is the only actress people can really see in this role of Supergirl at this point. She is so iconic in her portrayal of this amazing character, so when people discuss what could have been, it's really interesting. So who else was up for the role of Supergirl? Well, before Melissa Benoist was originally cast for the show, she obviously had some competition. She was up against Claire Holt from The Vampire Diaries and the originals, and also Elizabeth Lail from Once Upon a Time. Whilst neither of these actresses got the role, it's interesting to think of these two taking the role of Supergirl. We have had Melissa Benoist as Supergirl in so many episodes and so many crossovers that she is so iconic. It's hard to see someone like Elizabeth Lail in the role. Did you know this little behind the scenes secret? Let us know in the comments below. Next up, the creators of the show. While Supergirl definitely wasn't the first show in the amazing series of what fans called the Arrowverse, it was still one of the biggest when it finally joined back in season 2 of the show. Originally, Supergirl wasn't on the CW, but for its second season it moved to the network and the rest was history. The show's had many crossovers with the other Arrowverse shows like The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman, and of course Arrow. Whilst these crossovers are well beloved and regarded, the people behind them are the ones who deserve all the credit. Greg Berlanti, Ali Adler, and Andrew Kreisberg are the ones your thanks and appreciation should be going towards, as these are the ones who make all this magic happen in the first place. And now, the return of the comic book character. Before the show came onto our screens and gained its insane popularity, the comic books the show was based upon were actually non-existent. The comic book storyline of Supergirl had actually ended with the New 52 and hadn't had a new comic release in a while. The show gaining immense popularity and becoming one of CW's biggest shows allowed the comics to be carried on. Writers were allowed to carry on a new run of Supergirl and actually changed her up a bit too to meet the new version that the CW had created. The TV show of Supergirl was actually much different than the comic book one. So when they brought the comics back, they took notes from the TV show. That just shows you how popular this TV show actually is. How about, did you know episodes were moved around? Sometimes shows have scheduled episodes that need to be moved around for whatever reason. Things happen in production that make it so other episodes have to be moved around another. So what happened with Supergirl? Well, because of the Paris bomb attacks a few years ago, Supergirl actually had to reschedule an episode to another date because of the sensitive matter playing into the episode. The episode scheduled actually dealt with a bomb going off just like the Paris attacks, which obviously wasn't planned. To compensate for this rescheduling, the episode Livewire took place that week. Did you know this actually happened? If you did, let us know down below. Next up, 3 Supergirls? Did you know that Supergirl wasn't actually the first production to bring the character to live action? Well, Supergirl has actually been brought into live action 2 times before the popular CW TV show. First was in a small film in 1984 that really didn't do well, and secondly was the ever-popular Smallville, in which Superman's cousin Kara was brought into as a main character for many seasons. The CW Supergirl actually has many hints towards the original 2 projects by having cast members come over. Kara's adoptive mother in the CW show is actually played by Helen Slater, who played Supergirl in the 1984 show. The cast of Smallville have also shown up in many Arrowverse projects throughout their time on the air. Stay tuned because these next few are really cool secrets. And now, Maggie Sawyer. Whilst in Supergirl, Maggie Sawyer was a really important character for the development of Kara's sister Alex and her realizing her sexuality. In the comic books, she was actually a much bigger character. The show used her as a really important character to Alex and other characters, but other than that, she left the show after some differences between Alex and herself. In the comic books, Maggie Sawyer is actually way more important and integral to Batwoman and many more. She was actually Batwoman's girlfriend for a while, but also has connections to Batman Batman and Superman. Obviously, we now have a Batwoman TV show, so she could end up showing up later on the show. We don't really know though. What about other DC actors showing up? Other than the actors we have already mentioned, Supergirl has actually met some really big actors from other DC projects in the past. At one point, her adoptive father was played by Dean Cain, who played Clark Kent during the 1990s series Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. She's also interacted with characters like the Atom, played by Brandon Routh, who obviously played Superman during Superman Returns, and many more characters. It's really cool that the CW brought in some of these amazing actors to pay homage to their characters of old. They've been doing this more and more the past few years as the crossovers got more interesting and bigger over time. We could even see more characters show up down the line in other projects. So what about the set of Supergirl? As we all know, the in-universe name for where Supergirl is set happens to be National City. The place is fictional and doesn't actually exist, so where's the set of Supergirl? Some parts of the show are filmed on lots or on green screens, but outside shots are filmed on location. The show actually films in Vancouver, Canada, just like basically every other CW or Arrowverse show does. Originally, the show filmed in California back before it moved to the CW, but for finance reasons, the show moved to Vancouver. This also made it easier to film with the other shows on the CW and make crossovers way easier and better to produce. And our penultimate secret is a Glee crossover. If you didn't know already, both Melissa Benoist, who plays Supergirl, and Grant Gustin, who plays The Flash, were both on Glee at some point. This means that they both have a musical background, which was one of the reasons a special episode was proposed for them. So what happened? Well, the famed musical episode of The Flash and Supergirl happened during season 2 of Supergirl and season 3 of The Flash. These episodes showed off their amazing singing skills and was a great Glee crossover. But did you know that another Glee crossover happened during that same episode? The Music Meister was in the episode, and he was portrayed by a famed Glee actor, Darren Criss, played by the actor who had also acted alongside Melissa Benoist back on Glee. And finally, we have the portrayal of death. The death of Supergirl in the famed comic book crossover event, Crisis on Infinite Earths, is an iconic image and an iconic moment in comic book history. When the show was announced and Superman entered the fray, fans wondered if this scene would ever actually happen on screen. Whilst it also didn't happen during the Arrowverse's version of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the moment was called back to during a previous season of Supergirl. The famed image is of Superman carrying the limp body of his cousin Kara. The CW paid homage to this scene by having Superman do the exact same pose with Kara during an episode of Supergirl. Obviously, the context wasn't the same, but the moment looked similar. This was an awesome moment and an easy miss if you aren't a comic book nerd like others are. It's great to see this show call back to one of the character's biggest moments without actually doing the act itself. There was no way for Supergirl to die during the crossover event, as she is a main character. They also weren't going to substitute her for another character either. And that's the end of the video. Supergirl has now ended, but leaves behind some amazing scenes and some amazing moments for fans to look back upon. They also have the chance to look into the show's production and into the behind-the-scenes stories and secrets. It's amazing how many stories and moments there are to tell about the creation and production behind this amazing show. It really stands tall amongst the other Arrowverse shows. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on. Thank you for watching this video. Bye.